everyone, my name is Teacher Abigail and I am a full-time teacher with VIPKID. If you don't know what that is, it's an online ESL teaching company, and today I want to talk about the top 5 reasons to apply for VIPKID, the really major reasons that people start working with this company and that I started working with this company, and what really kind of draws people to it, because as many of you know, it's the #1 Forbes rated work at home company for 2018, I believe, or 17. I think it's 18. I'll have to check on that. But it's a major company and they're soon expanding to 100 different countries, so clearly it's drawing in students, drawing in teachers, and I believe that's because there are just so many benefits for working with them. So today I'm going to go through some of the major ones and you can decide whether or not VIPKID is for you. #1, and this for me was the biggest factor, you can work from anywhere. So all you need to teach with VIPKID is your laptop, a headset, and the built-in webcam on your computer. I know at least my Mac has one that's just built in, and I know a lot of Windows computers do too. You can message me if you're not sure whether your computer will work or not. And for the headset, you can either just use a cheap headset on Amazon. I have been using a $20 Amazon headset for the last 6 months. That has worked brilliantly. Or you could just use your Apple headphones or whatever, as long as the headphones have a microphone on them. It's recommended that you have a headset, but you can even apply just with earbuds. #2, you can set your own schedule. This really rivals #1 for the top factor on why I chose to work with this company, because I have a lot of creative pursuits in my life. I'm a writer, I am a musician, I spend a lot of time with my family, I absolutely love traveling, and so when I graduated college and I was looking for a job, the main factor that kind of kept coming into play in my head is, well, I still want to be flexible, and really there aren't any typical jobs out there, at least none that I could find, that allow you to be really flexible, meaning you can work from anywhere, you can set all of your own hours, and even in the online ESL teaching community, there aren't many companies that allow you to completely have flexibility over your schedule. But anyway, with VIPKID, there is no minimum and no maximum that you have to work a week. So you could work up to, they have, I think, 13.5 hours every day that are available to open up as your time slots. So you could open up to those 13 hours if you wanted to, or you could only work 2 hours a week. I know teachers that only teach like 2 or 3 classes a week, and that's just what they want to do. You can also take off full weeks at a time. I actually took advantage of this because over the summer I went to Florida and then I went to South Carolina, and both times I took off a full 2 weeks from my teaching schedule, and there was absolutely no consequence. I just signed my second 6-month contract with them, and there's no issue with doing that. You can give a reason for why you're leaving, but you don't even have to do that. You can honestly just close your schedule and then open it back up, and that is the main thing I've loved about this company. You open your schedule 2 weeks in advance, but you open all of the hours that you want and close all the hours that you don't want. So you will never be working an hour that you don't want to be working, and you can always mold your schedule around the other things in your life that are also important to you. And for me, this has given me more work-life balance than I ever have had or could imagine having, because I can always prioritize other things over work. Even though I love the work that I do with my students, I can always prioritize personal things if I need to, which is just awesome. #3. This is one that I think is a little bit of a sneaky benefit because it's not something I really expected. From talking with a lot of teachers in the American public school system, I heard about, and I can only imagine, you know, teaching younger kids, that a lot of them misbehave, are disrespectful, and that there's just a lot of behavioral issues. And so even teaching one-on-one with VIPKID, I was a little bit nervous. Like, you know, what if I'm always getting kids that are really disrespectful and don't want to participate? And let me tell you, I have had hardly any issues with any of my students. Occasionally, I might have a class where a student is kind of tired or distracted, but honestly, like probably 90 to 95% of the time, my students are great. They participate amazingly. They're sweet, and honestly, they're often just downright adorable. And I have made connections even with the very young students that don't know much English. I've made these connections that I am never going to forget about. And on the mornings when it's cold or dark outside and I don't want to wake up to teach, just sometimes thinking about how like adorable and fun my students are in the classroom really gets me out of bed in the morning. And that is something that I cannot say about any other job. I've never worked a job where the job itself could at all motivate me to get up and go to it. So that has just been amazing. So number 4, this was another thing that I would never have expected when I first heard about online ESL teaching a few years ago. If it wasn't for my self-doubt, I would have started teaching so much earlier, and I wish that I had, because I absolutely love it and it's such a calling for me, and I let so much self-doubt and lack of confidence hold me back in the beginning. But what I didn't know, thing number 4, is that if you are a native English speaker, you are seriously 90% at least of the way there to knowing how to teach this. The whole curriculum is given to you, so you don't have to create any of your own lesson plans. Just the fact that you're fluent in English means that you already know the ins and outs of all this stuff, especially when you're teaching the younger kids. I mean, when you're teaching the younger ages, you could just be teaching one word at a time. It's words like apple, elephant, octopus. I mean, stuff you learned like before you can probably even remember having learned it. So it's really secondhand, and the only thing you have to learn is how the company wants you to go about teaching. So it's more about methods and how to incorporate maybe props or pictures or visuals or something for the student, and how to use the program. But all that stuff is easy and you'll figure it out within, believe me, like it only took me I think like a day or 2 days of just kind of looking over some stuff to figure out the other 10%, but 90% of it is just seriously second nature. I have no teaching degree. I had no prior teaching experience besides my 2 years of experience that, you know, qualify me was volunteer work and childcare and doing church events growing up and helping with kids in those events. So none of my experience was formal teaching experience. But you seriously don't need teaching experience. However, if you are a teacher, this should be even more exciting for you, because if you have experience developing a curriculum, teaching in the classroom, connecting with students in that kind of environment, you are seriously going to be on the ball for this job. Like, you are going to excel like no other. So veteran teachers out there, you absolutely should get into this, even just as a part-time thing. I know a lot of teachers that teach like an hour in the morning, and at $20 an hour, you know, that can really add up through the week as extra spending money, and I know a lot of teachers that do that. So yeah, number 4, it being easy to do when you're a native English speaker is a huge factor. And finally, number 5. I can't finish this list without saying this, even though it is the materialistic aspect of it, but the pay. It was so hard for me, first of all, to find exact numbers of what teachers were making before I got into the job, and then after I started working with them, it was so hard for me to even believe that they were actually going to pay me this much. Honestly, I did not believe it until I saw my first paycheck in my bank account, because I had looked into online work so many times before. I'd been interested in it for years, and I had never found a job that paid $20 an hour, which is what I make with VIPKID. I know that your pay can range from $18 to $22 depending on experience, and it's a little bit complex, so I can get into that later. I know on the site it says, I think the official site says 14 to 22, and it's something to explain, but basically extra incentives for showing up to class on time and for teaching at least like 22 or 23 hours a month. And obviously those are really easy to reach if you're teaching even like 6 hours a week or something, and just showing up to your classes. So everyone pretty much gets those incentives, which add on an extra $2 an hour. It's all kind of complicated. I can make another video about that, but all that goes to say, like, you are almost definitely going to not be making less than $18 an hour. Like, everyone I know makes $18 to $22 an hour. So that is amazing. And actually, if you get short notice classes booked within 24 hours, you'll get an extra $4 an hour, $2 for each class. So there were actually times where I was making like $24 an hour, which is just amazing. And even if your student doesn't show up, you still get paid for the class. So like probably 10 to 20% of my regular students will cancel their class, and I will still get full pay just for being there. Seriously guys, the pay is like amazing. I mean, I never, ever, ever, ever would have believed that I could make this much working online. And I mean, that's twice as much, more than twice as much as minimum wage, at least where I live. And if you're working 40 hours a week, it's about on par with a regular teaching job that I could get in my area. So it's just an amazing part of the company. And between that and feeling this connection with the students and being able to work anywhere and create my own schedule, it's just been absolutely the ideal job for me. And if all of that sounds like something that would also be the ideal job for you, all I can say is do not make my mistake that I made in the beginning and let your self-doubt or lack of confidence keep you from going for this, because if you work at it, if you train for it, if you want it, you absolutely will get hired. You absolutely will make it through the hiring process and be getting paid this much and be doing something that you love. And I know that if you've never taught before and don't have any experience, it can be kind of overwhelming to think about, but I am telling you that no matter what your background is, if you have any experience working with kids or connecting with kids in any capacity and you speak English, this seriously could be an amazing job for you. I would love to coach you through the hiring process if this sounds like something you want to look into, because my mentors were so helpful to me in the beginning, and there will just be so many questions that you'll have about the ins and outs, and I am willing to just be like your on-call mentor, coach for whatever questions you have. You can either DM them to me on Instagram, or you can comment them here, or you can email me, and I will seriously get back to you faster than I get back to even like my friends or family. No joke, guys. I mean, I don't always get back to them that fast. I'm kind of introverted. That's a separate video, but I seriously will be like a hotline for all of your questions, because I know that's something that I didn't even have, like, from my mentors, you know, someone to constantly answer my questions as they came up. And a lot of times you have like weird questions or questions like you feel kind of silly asking. Don't feel silly asking them. Ask me all of your crazy, weird, like seemingly stupid questions, because we all have them, and I've been teaching long enough with the company that I know all of those random ins and outs that you're probably still wondering about and may not be able to find online. So if you want to apply to VIPKID, it only takes 30 seconds to fill out the application form, and I have linked that in the description of the video. And also comment and let me know what you want to see a video on regarding getting hired with VIPKID, or what it's like teaching with them, because I would love to talk about any aspect of that in a video if that's kind of an easier format for you to understand. Happy teaching, and see you in the next video. Bye, guys!